Please welcome Janice Burt.
The United States is a melting pot full of different cultures, different ethnicities, and different languages. And it's this diversity that makes it so amazing. It's kind of like a stew. How good would a stew be without the meat, and the potatoes, the onions, and the carrots, all mixed in there together? That is what happened to me 20 years ago on a stage not unlike the one I'm standing on right now. I was in the finals of a speech contest. It was just me and one other girl, and there was a $3,000 college scholarship on the line. About a minute into my speech, my mind went completely blank. There was just nothing there. And needless to say, I lost the contest, lost the scholarship, but I did gain something that day. I gained fear. Fear of being a failure, fear of not being good enough, and fear of looking like a fool. And I went through life and I carried these fears with me. I dragged them with me into adulthood. And you know what? It got to the point where I didn't even want to speak in front of small groups anymore. The fear overpowered me. The fear was controlling my life. And the thing is, I really enjoy public speaking. I love it. But the fear was too much, and I let it take control. Until 2 years ago, when I hit rock bottom in my personal life. And I knew that I needed to change, that I needed to do something differently. And so I decided to start facing my fears, to just take tiny baby steps in the direction of those fears. And so in regards to public speaking, I started doing that earlier this year. I went online and I found the Sacramento Speakers Network meetup. I said, that's where I'm going to start. So I go to this group and there's about 60 or 70 people in the room, and I don't know a soul. I also don't know that we have to do a 30-second introduction in front of all these people. And I don't know what I managed to get out that night, but I do know that I ended by saying, if anybody knows of any classes, courses, groups, or something that I could go to improve my public speaking skills, that would be awesome. And 2 people came up to me afterwards and invited me to their Toastmasters group. And this is a specific group that you go to get more public speaking skills and experience. So the next week, I took another small step in the direction of my fears, and I went to that group. And then I became a member of that Toastmasters group. Then I had to give speeches. And the first one actually was okay. It was my icebreaker speech. It was okay. And then it was my second speech. And a little ways into my second speech, and you guys probably noticed it up here a little bit, I started shaking uncontrollably. And there are no good words to describe exactly what this looked like or felt like. But the only thing that I could come up with is it was as if I was having a grand mal seizure while standing up in high heels trying to get out a speech. It was not pretty. But you know what? I stood there and I shook and I looked like a fool because I had to face those fears, I would not sit down. And shortly after that speech, a friend of mine there in Toastmasters came up and said, you know what, Janice, there's this really amazing motivational speaker by the name of Kevin Bracey. And he's doing these auditions for his Monstars of Motivation show. And I really think that you should go and audition. And when he said that, all those fears right back up on the surface again. And that's when I knew I had to audition. And I looked at my calendar, and even though I was out of town for his big Monstars of Motivation event, I knew that I had to go and just audition. Just do it. To look my fears straight in the eye and keep walking through them. And so I went to that audition, and about a minute into my speech, not only do I start shaking uncontrollably again, but I forget part of my lines. So what was supposed to be a 3-minute speech was maybe a 2-minute speech. But I stood there and I shook and I looked like a fool. But I was not going to sit down until I was done saying what I had to say that day. And you know what? 4 hours later, I get a call from an unknown number. Hello. Hi, Janice. This is Kevin Bracey. I just wanted to call you because you inspired me today. Me, in my shaking mess of a performance, had inspired this amazing motivational speaker, and that's when it dawned on me that there is so much power in walking through our fears. And that brings me to today, to this amazing speech contest. As soon as I saw that it was a contest, I knew that I needed to sign up. I knew that I needed to be right back on a similar stage as I was 20 years ago, and to tell the 16-year-old version of myself that she is not a failure and that she is not a fool. Because failures and fools stay down. That's the only difference. They don't keep fighting. And if you have a fear that is weighing you down, that is sitting on your back, that you acquired when you were 16 or 13 or 8, just take one small step in the direction of that fear. And don't be surprised if when you do that, you feel like a knight in shining armor, slaying a fire-breathing dragon. Because that is what it feels like every single time. Thank you.